Good morning, everyone. Today is the 25th of um, May, and I'm attempting to broadcast live this morning on Facebook. I may be sorry I tried it, and on YouTube, but we're going to give it a shot this morning. Um, Christ is often referred to in the Bible as the great shepherd of the sheep. So the question is, who are the sheep? Christ is not Christ is not a shepherd of the goats. A lot of people have the idea that God is a shepherd of the goats. Have you ever tried to shepherd a goat? It's not very easy. They jump up on roofs of buildings. They eat tin cans. They buck horns with each other. They're always wanting to fight and so on. The sheep are rather docile, and the sheep follow the shepherd. He said, "My sheep know my voice, and they follow me, and no man can pluck them out of my hand. And no man can pluck them out of my Father's hand." He says, "I know my sheep. I am the good shepherd. My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me." Well, there are a lot of people that do not follow Christ. They are not interested in what Christ has to say. And that's why they change his word. That's why you have people like Thomas Jefferson writing their own Jefferson Bible. Welcome aboard, Jackson. That's why they have come up with all these new versions of the Bible. The New King James Version, the New International Version, the Revised Standard Version, the English translation, all of these versions that they feel like it's necessary to correct the authorized King James Version of the Bible. The authorized King James Version of the Bible doesn't need to be corrected. If we believe that God preserves his word, it's been around for over 400 years. It's good enough for me. Welcome aboard, Chuck McAllister. Good to have you with me this morning. I've always enjoyed studying the 10th chapter of John. I want to look at that and just read it and make some comments about it this morning. The 10th chapter of John. I love the 6th chapter of John. I love the 7th. I like all of John, but I have a particular affinity for the 6th, 10th, and 17th chapters of John. Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that entereth not by the door into the sheepfold, but climbeth up some other way, the same is a thief and a robber. But he that entereth in by the door is the shepherd of the sheep. To him the porter openeth, and the sheep hear his voice, and he calleth his own sheep by name, and he leadeth them out. And when he putteth forth his own sheep, he goeth before them, and the sheep follow them, for they know his voice. And a stranger will they not follow, but will flee from him, for they know not the voice of strangers. Isn't that a beautiful passage? To know that God's sheep are going to hear his voice, and they are not going to be ultimately deceived. We may veer off course from time to time. We may sway off course. Up here, there's a lot of deer, and there's a lot of curves, and you go around the curve and all of a sudden a deer is standing right in front of you, you're going to veer off to the right. Hopefully not too far. Sometimes we get our eyes off of the important things and veer off course, don't we? And welcome aboard, Baressa Winstone. A stranger will they not follow? If a person is following someone who is into doctrine that is contrary to the Word of God, that's a very dangerous place to be, isn't it? Joseph Saracen, welcome aboard this morning. Then said Jesus unto them again, Verily, verily, I say unto you, I am the door of the sheep. Jesus proclaimed himself as the door of the sheep. He proclaimed himself as the good shepherd. We find the good shepherd proclaimed in the 23rd chapter of Isaiah. All that ever came before me are thieves and robbers, but the sheep did not hear them. Are we listening to the great shepherd this morning, or are we listening to thieves and robbers? Are we listening to people who are promoting dispensational theology, which is a lie? Are we listening to people who say that we should count all the Jews as God's chosen people, and they didn't come for Jesus Christ, didn't come for them, for his elect remnant Jews? Should we listen to those who are proclaiming that all paths lead to God? Should we listen to people who get up and say that doctrine is not important, just love everybody? All that ever came before me are thieves and robbers, but the sheep did not hear them. I am the door. By me, if any man enter in, he shall be saved, and shall go in and out and find pasture. The only ones that are going to enter in, okay, are those who've been chosen from the foundation of the world. The only ones that are going to hear the shepherd's voice are going to be those who've been predestinated unto adoption, Ephesians 1:5. The thief cometh not but for to steal and to kill and destroy. I am come that they might have life, and that they might have it more abundantly. I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd giveth his life for the sheep. There's a lot of people that talk about how that Jesus Christ died for the sins of the whole world. That's not what Jesus taught. Jesus said he gave his life for the sheep. But he that is an hireling and not the shepherd, whose own the sheep are not, seeth the wolf coming, and leaveth the sheep, catcheth them, and scattereth the sheep. There's a lot of wolves out there right now. I saw a post on Facebook where Joel Osteen was tearing up a Bible recently. You know, are we listening to the sheep? Are we listening to the shepherd? Are we in line with the sheep of God? Are we amongst the goats? We're in the world, but we're not of the world. We're told to come out from the world and be ye separate, saith the Lord, and touch not the unclean thing. Joseph Saracen, welcome aboard. And if there's any that are watching that I've missed, I apologize. I can't always see everybody on here right now, but MJ Abeles, good to have you with us. Howard Jett, good to have you with us this morning. And all the rest of you that are with me this morning. Glad to have you part of this Monday morning breakfast club. Have you had your oats this morning? The hireling fleeth because he is a hireling and careth not for the sheep. Have you ever noticed those who are touting all of these crazy false doctrines? They have usually only one thing in mind, and that is their own power and money. People that are begging for people to send them money so they can buy another jet. They're living like kings on the earth, aren't they? They care not for the sheep. They care not for the sheep. I remember Jan Crouch, Trinity Broadcasting Network, begging for people. She says, you little old ladies that have that money in a sock under your bed that you haven't been doing anything with, send it to me. Well, Paul and Jan Crouch had 6 different mansions throughout the United States. I am the good shepherd and know my sheep and am known of mine. Not only does Christ know us, but we know Christ. As the Father knoweth me, even so know I the Father, and lay down my life for the sheep. That's twice Christ has said that in the last few verses, that he giveth his life for the sheep and he lays his life down for the sheep. He never said that he laid his life down for the goats. Now, it's true that we were all sinners. We did not deserve the mercy and grace of God. It's unmerited favor. But the fact remains that God showed his sheep favor and not the goats. And other sheep I have which are not of this fold, them also I must bring, and they shall hear my voice, and there shall be one fold and one shepherd. I think he is referring there to the Gentiles. That's my own personal opinion, because it was foretold that he would be a light unto the Gentiles. Therefore doth my Father love me, because I lay down my life that I might take it again. No man taketh it from me, but I lay it down of myself. I have power to lay it down, and I have power to take it again. This commandment have I received of my Father. Pilate told him, don't you know that I have power to take your life? And Jesus said, you would have no power at all if it were not given to you from above. Well, there was a division, therefore, among the Jews for these things. They could not stand the fact that he said that he was the shepherd of the sheep. They were setting themselves up as the leaders. The scribes, the Pharisees, the chief priests. And what did they charge him with? Many of them said, he hath a devil and is mad. Why hear ye him? The goats are not going to hear the shepherd. They're not going to hear him. Others said, these are not the words of him that hath a devil. Can a devil open the eyes of a blind? They were given evidences of those people that were hearing him were giving evidence of the fact that they were sheep, weren't they? And it was at Jerusalem in the Feast of Dedication, and it was winter, and Jesus walked in the temple, and Solomon was porched. Then came the Jews round about him and said unto him, how long dost thou make us to doubt? If thou be the Christ, tell us plainly. Jesus answered them, I told you, and you believe not the works that I do in my Father's name. They bear witness of me. But you believe not. Why did he tell them that they did not believe? He says, "You believe not because ye are not of my sheep, as I said unto you." Jesus Christ was telling them they were goats. That's why they couldn't hear. And he reiterates again, he says, "My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. And I give unto them eternal life, and they shall never perish, neither shall any man pluck them out of my hand. My Father which gave them me is greater than all, and no man is able to pluck them out of my Father's hand. I and my Father are one." Then the Jews took up stones again to stone him. These were apparent goats, weren't they? They did not hear the voice of the shepherd. They were not his sheep. Jesus answered them, "Many good works have I showed you from my Father. Which of these works do you stone me?" Then the Jews answered, saying, "For a good work we stone thee not, but for blasphemy, because thou being a man makest thyself God." Well, Jesus said, the reason that you do not believe on me is because you're not of my sheep. That's what he told them. And there's a lot of people that don't believe a lot of things that Christ said. They don't believe his teachings on election. John 6:37 says, "All that the Father hath given me will come to me, and all that come to me I will in no wise cast out." All of those that come to him have already been given to him by the Father. That's election. How can a person be a follower of Christ if they don't believe the teachings of Christ and his apostles? They are not hearing the shepherd's voice. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. For thou art with me, thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. This great salvation that Christ has given to his sheep is an everlasting salvation, everlasting life, not a temporary life. So that's what's on my mind this morning, the great shepherd of the sheep. Let us make sure that we are listening to the shepherd and not a hireling. Study to show ourselves approved unto God, a workman who needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. So that's kind of what's on my mind a week today. You're in my thoughts and prayers. I covet your prayers for me and my family as well. And may you have a blessed week is my prayer. God bless.